All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports today. You know, it's funny. I'm looking at my phone here, my trusty phone, one of my leagues here, and I'm like having to figure out who to play for Jacoby Myers if he doesn't play on Sunday. George, you want to help me out here? Here's the options. It's not great, and we'll get into some holder drop here. Greg Dortch, Mike Williams, we're going to talk about here. Zacchaeus, Washington. Or that's it. That's all I got. Or Gainwell as a flex. I got nothing.
Oh my God. What size league is this?
It's Dynasty. It's like there's a million.
Okay. It's Dynasty.
Gainwell, maybe?
He's the
I'm already
one
playing,
or two.
Yeah, I'm already playing Schultz and Kittle and Conklin. Like I'm like out of options. I have literally no one else. I have nothing.
I think I would probably roll the dice with Dortch, but
yeah, because if Harrison's out, right?
I think Harrison. Listen. We're guessing. We don't. With concussions, you never know. I think he's going to play, but I think I'm going to go more boom or bust. Gainwell is more of a safe play. You'll get a couple of points, right? I mean, I think I would.
Or I could pick up that Raiders guy. These Raiders guys are all available. I could do that.
Tucker?
I'm not sure. I got to look it up. See if he is.
I doubt it. But if Tucker's available, I would take him.
We're wasting time out of everyone's life here on the show. Let's continue on. Hold or drop. I just mentioned Mike Williams. $10 million. $10 million to do nothing for the New York Jets. This guy was a good player on the Chargers. A very good player. A player that was like winning games in fantasy. I don't know what. I mean, I know he got hurt. But it's beyond August, September, October. And they got Aaron Rodgers throwing him under the bus. Personal reasons. He's not going to play. George, is there any hope to hold Mike Williams that he ends up in any decent situation in the NFL? I mean, I'm guessing it's got to be on a team that's winning because no team that's losing is going to take this player. 10 receptions on the season, 145 yards. It wasn't that long ago where you were playing against this guy in fantasy and going, oh no, it's Herbert to Williams. I'm in trouble.
You want me to give you the optimistic viewpoint? The Jets have to use him because they want to trade him. So they want to showcase him. That's all I got for you. All right? Because other than that, even if he gets traded, to Kansas City, all right, because Kansas City could use the wide receiver help there, how long does it take him to figure it out with the offense and get chemistry at the quarterback where they feel comfortable? And by the way, I don't think he's going to Kansas City. Pittsburgh, by the way, ironically, who they play this Sunday, could be an option. They keep looking for a receiver. I think he will be traded by the November 6th deadline. I do. You know, because the Jets don't need him. I think Reddick's going to get moved too. And we all think Reddick's going to get moved to the Detroit Lions. Bottom line is this. I don't have anywhere, but I'm releasing him. All right. I'm not waiting, hoping it works out in a new spot. Unless my team's great and I can afford to waste to wait for that opportunity, which maybe you do. Maybe you are 6-0, whatever it might be. But more than likely, I am moving on.
Yeah, I'm going to drop him also. You know my prediction where he ends up? I know this is a little outside the box. I think he ends up a Buccaneer. I think he ends up the third guy in Tampa Bay behind Godwin and Evans. And for some insurance, too. That's my prediction. He ends up in Tampa Bay. I'm still cutting him anyway. I'm also cutting Keon Coleman. He's our next topic of discussion. Hold or drop with him on the Buffalo Bills. Coleman will get his chance next season. He will. I mean, you don't invest this kind of draft capital and do nothing. But the Bills are built to win now and win immediately. And they went out and they got Amari Cooper. So, Coleman, he's going to be Gabe Davis for a couple games this season. He's probably going to catch a couple of touchdowns. But beyond that, he'll have 5 touchdowns, George, at the end of the season. But there's only going to be about 25, 30 catches. And you can't play him. So I'm probably dropping him.
Once again, so am I. I'll play now they got Cooper. It'll release some of the pressure on him. They got Shakir running the shorter route, so you will have. I think you put it perfectly at the Gabe Davis moments, right? He's going to get he's going to get his deep shots, but he's had problems with his hands, right? He's had problem catching that football. Those stone hands there has been a little issue. But bottom line is, he's certainly not startable, and I don't even think he's your first option as far as on your bench. Okay, he's my next option when someone has a bye. No, he's probably 2 or 3. You can move on, see if something else is better out there. He's certainly not a play I'm worried about holding on to, other than a keeper league or a dynasty league.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, it's got to go. Christian Kirk, Jacksonville signed 2 years ago. I remember having him in fantasy. He was a star. All the Jacksonville receivers are having a hard time catching the ball. Thomas looks like Trevor Lawrence's main target. Christian Kirk probably going to be gone from the Jaguars at the end of the season. I think at the time it was a good signing, a good message signing too for Jacksonville to say, hey, look, we can get guys to come play here. But he's got 300 yards on the season, so projection is about 750, 800 on the year. My guess is more touchdown numbers before the end. 1 now, probably 3 or 4 at the end. He's a drop for me, George. I'm not going to play him. So, and even if one of the other receivers got hurt on Jacksonville, I'm still not going to play him. So, unfortunately, I can't believe we're here 2 years later, but he's a drop.
I don't want to drop him, but he probably is droppable. That's really what it comes down to. I'm looking at the schedule here. You play Green Bay next week, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Detroit. Not the easiest of schedules, but all those, you're probably, with the exception of this Sunday, you're going to be trailing. So Lawrence is going to have to throw the ball a bunch. That's the only reason why I could see holding on to him. Their bye week is in week 12. That's something when you can move on from him there. So I would actually like to hold on to him only because I think the volume will be there. Not that he's done anything. And once again, if you have somebody else, if you have somebody back coming back, maybe you have Chubb coming back from IL or PUP list this week, and you need to drop somebody. Yeah, I could see Kirk being that guy you drop. I can. He's not someone I'm going to get out a soapbox on. Oh, you got to keep him. I'm not there. But I don't want to release him unless I just have no choice.
Yeah, and next one is sort of a tougher one because it's more of a handcuff for a tight end, which you don't see that often in fantasy. Isaiah Likely, who got off to such a hot start when Mark Andrews had a very slow start, and now it seems to have gone the other way. Likely has 18 catches, 207 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Man, I want to find a way to keep Likely just in case. I'm probably going to hold for the time being now, George, but a couple of weeks, and if Andrews just takes off and runs with it the rest of the season, Likely's probably a cut. Feel like Likely will be with Baltimore or some other team in the near future being a starting tight end. I don't know where and when it's going to be, but it'll happen.
Kind of agree with you. He looks like he could be a starting tight end. He's certainly faster and more athletic, agile than Andrews, right? I think there's little doubt about that. Boy, this is a tougher one because if your choice is Likely or Andrews, you only move on. If you want to keep one, yeah, it's probably Andrews. We're going to hope it picks up. But like I said, he had the touchdown last week. I know I was patting myself on the back and all that, but he was only in there for about half the snaps, Greg. The usage is just not there yet where I feel comfortable with him. So I do want to, if I have Andrews and Likely, I do want to hold on here. But if I need a roster spot and one has to go, once again, I'm 3-3, I'm 2-4. I need to win this week, and one of these guys has to go to get a starter in there. All right, I'm just gonna die with Andrews, and I'll release Likely. And in that scenario, I'll move on.
I hope you don't die. I am not rooting for that. All right, finally, another tight end. I think now that Devontae Adams is with the Jets, along with Wilson and Alan Lazard, I just see no path for Tyler Conklin, who has been Mr. 4 points in fantasy for the last few weeks. Time to go. Time to drop Tyler Conklin in fantasy for me.
Yeah, I don't. He was barely top 12 anyway. He's had a decent season. But there's just too many cooks in the kitchen right now. I mean, Adams is going to get a lot of looks here. We know Garrett Wilson's going to get his looks. Hall is being used in the passing game now. So where is he? 4th, 5th on the depth chart here? I didn't bring up Lazard. No. Yeah, we're moving on from Conklin.
All right, so there you have it. Hold or drop for some of the skill positions. Coming up next, we will knock out the quarterback position in fantasy. Also, just one quick note for those of you looking to potentially start Justin Mason, running back on the San Francisco 49ers, did practice Jordan Mason on Friday. Justin Mason, fantasy baseball player. Jordan Mason, running back. It looks like he'll be playing this weekend for the San Francisco 49ers against the Kansas City Chiefs. So stay with us here on the grid. I'll try to get the names right when we come back next. Jordan Mason playing this week. Don't go away.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Just try to wrap your head around the idea of not playing Patrick Mahomes, cutting Patrick Mahomes in fantasy as we continue our discussion here of hold or not. I don't know, George. I mean, maybe it's just the nostalgia in me. I know in these leagues they have uncuttable players, and he doesn't qualify as that anymore in fantasy. I am not cutting Mahomes, man. Like I don't know. I understand who he is, and you'll probably make the case that you can. 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, if you're playing in a league where you lose 2 points for a passing touchdown, this guy has been worthless as far as playing in fantasy, which is crazy to say. But second half of the season, it's the Chiefs. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm holding them. I can't do it. I'm holding Mahomes.
This will depend on the kind of league you play in. Mahomes is not a quarterback one anymore. Hasn't been, by the way, since about halfway through last season. That's what the numbers tell you. All right. Once again, I'm assuming you're in a 10 or 12 team league. You're in a 14, 16. It's a little different here. In a 2 quarterback league, you're certainly holding on to him. All right. So let's get that out of the way as well. The good news is, well, you play San Fran, but San Fran's not the greatest defense that we think they are. They're just not. Vegas, Tampa, Denver, Buffalo, Carolina. I mean, the schedule is nice, but he hasn't been putting up the fantasy points here. So if you're in a league, one quarterback league where no one takes a backup quarterback, then guess what? He's releasable easily. It's not even close because all that means Kirk Cousins is out there. All right, or several other quarterbacks that are putting up good numbers here. Hell, Geno Smith's putting up better fantasy numbers than Pat Mahomes is, and it's not even all that close. So yeah, he's cuttable. But if you're in a league where everyone, or you're in a 12-team league where 6 to 8 backup quarterbacks are gone, well then you can't. He's not there. But I do play in a league where, like I said, Cousins is there. Carr was there when he was hot. It just no one takes a backup. So there, you move on from Mahomes because you're dealing with a name here. Yes, a possible future Hall of Famer, but he's not fantasy-wise that right now this season. And I want to win now. All right, I don't want to. I'm not playing to the name here. I'm just not. So the numbers tell you he's not a quarterback one in 10 or 12 team leagues.
I can't believe this. I'm keeping Mahomes. I can't do it. I can't do it. All right, this is a good one here. Justin Fields. Now, again, we don't have a ton of clarity here, and we're making the assumption he's not starting on Sunday. But these numbers that we're showing you here don't obviously tell the entire story because he's rushed for touchdowns and he has a lot of rushing yards too. 12-team league, I think if you are forced to, I think you can. With the idea of I'm looking at my budget or my waiver wire position, and if Wilson bleeps the bed, I can pick Fields right back up. But any deeper league than that, I'm a hold also on Fields. Again, he does things that only 5 or 6 quarterbacks are doing in the NFL. And even when he's only throwing, George, for 170 yards, that's being accompanied by a rushing touchdown or like 65 yards rushing. I am not cutting him. I cannot do it.
Yeah, you and I both believe that Pittsburgh's making a mistake going back to Russell Wilson. I don't get it. As for our fantasy owners or rosters, yeah, it's tough because once again, if you're in a one quarterback league, you can probably afford to hold on to him, right, and just pick up another quarterback, assuming you don't have one already on your roster. I would advise that not to be Russell Wilson, by the way. In a 2 quarterback league, that's different. I did have to pick up Russell Wilson once Fields was replaced. But if you're in a league, once again, where all backups are gone here, man, you could be screwed. You could definitely be screwed here. My bottom line is this. I don't think we've seen the last of Justin Fields. I don't. All right. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to hit the ground running here. I think he's having a rough time Sunday night against the Jets. That being said, I don't know if Tomlin's going to be willing to pull the trigger after 1 week. And they play the Giants next week. They're on Monday night again. Damn. Seeing a lot of the Steelers. Then there's a bye week. So you may not have any Fields now, Craig, until week 10. So that's a long ways to wait for a quarterback that we don't know is going to have a starting job, or is going to get it back. So that's my only issue here. I think you may be forced due to things beyond your control. You and I both believe Fields should be the quarterback, but Tomlin doesn't agree with us, and he's really the only opinion that matters here.
Either that or they're just playing this game, and it's possible too that they're playing a game with us and he ends up starting, but it doesn't appear that way. All right, a couple of running backs here. Let's touch on them. Tajay Spears, there was some thought process here that he could be a big part of what Tennessee was going to do on the ground, and he does catch the ball. He's got 76 receiving yards, and also Trey Sermon, who has been given the opportunity now to play more with Indianapolis, and unsurprisingly has done nothing with that. Goodson, in fact, to me, has looked better than Sermon has. So I am going to be a drop on Spears. Pollard would be my guy, if nothing. And with Sermon, a deeper league, I guess, it's the heartbeat and a breath with the last shot here for Sermon, who was cut entirely after being drafted in the 3rd round. I probably would be benching Sermon. I'd be holding Sermon, but I'd be playing Goodson over Sermon this week.
All right. Spears is not going to play Sunday. He's out. And you already said everything that's relevant there. Pollard's the guy you want anyway. Even if Spears was healthy, I'd be moving on from him. They paid Pollard the money, and they're using him. And Pollard looks like the guy that he was with the Cowboys before last season, before the ankle injury. So right. He looks like that guy. So, yes, we're moving on from Spears. Spears is done here. Indianapolis, no, I'm done with them too. I'm done with Sermon. I don't care.
You don't like Goodson? Surprise.
It's not that I don't like him. I don't like him this week. I think Miami's got a good, tough defense. I think Richard's going to steal some touchdowns from you, and then Taylor's back.
That's true.
I guess if you have Taylor and you want to keep him as a handcuff, but is he the handcuff? There's too many cooks in the kitchen right now. And I might feel differently if he was the number 1 behind him. All right, then you keep behind Taylor because we don't know if Taylor's going. Right. I don't know if Taylor's going to play next week. I think he is, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he is, but it's 55-45. I just think he is, but I'm not betting on it. But I'm not going to feel. I don't like this offense with Richardson right now. I just don't. But same as the preseason, he just hasn't looked good to me. I like it. Yeah. It's nuts as it is to say. It's better with Flacco.
Crazy to think that that's the case, but indeed it is. Richardson, again, will get a full complement of snaps. Looks like he's going to play this week. All right, time for a little trade or fade when we come back after the break. We'll dive through some wide receivers in fantasy football. One, in fact, that George likes this week. So stay with us here on the grid. Also, don't forget Joe Pisapia, Matt Stryker, every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, getting you ready for the day in fantasy football on Sunday. We'll be right back after this. can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row, and now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But if you're playing the odds and you're looking for something that is a more favorable opportunity, it seems like Bo Naylor doing nothing tonight and just watching paint dry is a good investment.
I'm assuming he's in the bottom 3 or 4 of their lineup, which also puts them at risk to be pinch hit, which is great if you have that under. Gets up once or twice, and all of a sudden later in the game, they pinch hit for him, and then you're just free and clear.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We play a lot of games here on Fantasy Sports today. In this case, we're playing a little trade or fade. And so the trade deadline in the NFL is coming up, and your fantasy football league is also coming up early November, October, depending on where you have it. So let's dive right in. We know what George likes here. If you missed early part of the show as part of George's bold predictions, he's on Deontay Johnson this week for the Carolina Panthers. 29 receptions, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 55 targets. And these are pretty much all numbers with Andy Dalton. Fair, pretty much. Andy Dalton has not revitalized the Panthers offense, but he's given them a pulse. He still made a horrible mistake at the end of the game last week. It's kind of crazy, by the way, that Dalton is still playing in the NFL. But I think what we've learned, George, through the years is that these backup quarterbacks that are like Dalton and Flacco, I mean, they could probably stay around as long as they want to, which is why I guess I'm surprised Ryan Tannehill has not come back in. Like, that guy could play probably 5 more years if he wanted to as a backup quarterback, but Dalton is the signal caller, and he throws the ball to Deontay Johnson. So I don't think there's any fading going on right now.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I wonder why Tannehill hadn't signed with the team. Right, we heard earlier that he wanted to be with somebody who could compete for a starting job. Okay, what are you hoping for? A quarterback gets hurt now for the year? I mean, I don't know, weird, but you're right. I'm surprised he's not there. Oh, yeah, I'm in on Deontay Johnson. It's not – I think he is a good wide receiver. It's just game script. They're going to be trailing in most games, going to have to throw the football. And Dalton, as you just said, old grizzled guy can still throw. He's going to make some bonehead decisions, but I don't care about that. He'll get the ball to Deontay Johnson more often than not. I think more – you're going to have wide receiver 2 numbers from Deontay Johnson quite a bit here. And at the very least, wide receiver 3. So we can use this guy, especially while the bye weeks are in session here. Yes, I wouldn't say I'm all in on Johnson, but he's a guy I like in fantasy quite a bit.
Yeah, trade for Deontay Johnson. Looks like he could be a second-half guy. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks, kind of hard to predict. Jackson Smith-Njigba going into the season was thought to be one of those big sleepers. He does have the receptions. I mean, 34 is a pace for like 70 or so in the NFL, 310 yards, a pace for like 900. But lacking those touchdowns, George, it seems like any time that Seattle gets close to the end zone, they're giving it to Kenneth Walker like once and twice and 3 times. Like, he gets a ton of looks in the red zone. So I don't know that his touchdown numbers are on the rise here.
That has been the problem really for everybody with Seattle. There's been with touchdowns. I was somebody who has Geno Smith in a couple of fantasy leagues, so I'm invested in him and watching his games. He has no problem getting like inside the red zone. It's in the red zone he's having problems throwing touchdowns into the end zone. It's very frustrating. It's definitely cost me a game or 2. So it's frustrating here. JSN is picking up over the past couple of weeks. We got to remember there's 3 guys here. DK Metcalf's going to be the first guy. Lockett is probably more number 3 than number 2, but he's about even with JSN. It seems like those are the 2 guys. This week it's Lockett. This week it's JSN. You know,
Right.
you're sort of playing that game here. And we know Kenneth Walker's a good running back. That being said, I'm still willing to buy in here. I'm looking at their schedule: Atlanta, Buffalo, LA, San Fran. I mean, it's not terrible. You got a couple of hard games in there as far as they play a Jets defense week 13 there. But I'm still willing to buy in. But keep in mind, fantasy playoffs, it's not good. Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. That could be an issue. That could be your deciding factor right there in not going for him.
Yeah. All right, Brandon Ayuk, he got the bag from the 49ers, but meanwhile, I think Juwan Johnson's still outscoring him in fantasy this season. It hasn't been pretty. No touchdowns for Ayuk, 23 receptions. The yards are fine. I mean, he's going to end up with his 1,000 yards, but George, these numbers at the end of the year are going to look like this: 1,100 yards, 1 touchdown, maybe 2. And I mean, George, is Juwan Johnson better than Brandon Ayuk? I mean, is that a fair question to ask?
I think you mean Jennings. Johnson's the tight end on New Orleans here.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. This is why I wouldn't have signed Ayuk, because they were so worried about him, because I do think Jennings, I'm not going to tell you he's as good as Ayuk. I don't think that's fair, but I think he's a good wide receiver. Where if you didn't want to give Ayuk all that money because of salary cap problems, and you got Purdy next week, so command $1 gazillion, then you should have traded Ayuk. So there's that. Yeah, I'm willing to move on. There's too many cooks in the kitchen here with Debo, with Jennings, with Kittle. The run game, McCaffrey's going to come back eventually. Yeah, I'm willing to move on. I got him in a couple of leagues, killing me. Say it with me, folks. Never draft somebody who's holding out or not in training camp high. Never do it. It never works out.
He's a fade. How about Dalton Kincaid, 217 receiving yards, just 1 touchdown on
going
the
down
season.
with the ship.
Added Amari Cooper. That's it?
I'm going down with the ship. I'll take him.
You're sticking with him. All right.
I'm sticking with him. Cooper
Fair
helps.
enough.
How about that?
If that's the way you want it, you can have it. All right, Week 7 fantasy preview coming up next here on Fantasy Sports Today. Every game, every player, next.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today. As promised, we are going to rapid-fire review every game in the National Football League and the players that you should be playing in fantasy football in those. Thursday night's football game was not a good one, but on paper, the game Sunday morning as we begin our previews appears to be even worse, if that is possible. It's the Patriots and Jaguars. So 12-team leagues, George. Who in the world are you playing on either of these teams in a 12-team league? Is there one player on either of them that you're willing to start on Sunday? He's got one. Is it the Jaguars running back? Who would it be?
You got the right team, Jaguars. I think if you're going to pick one player.
A Dynasty 2-quarterback league, I have Lawrence. I have no choice. I have to start Lawrence. Although I feel a lot better about him after watching those drops. He actually threw touchdowns last week. I mean,
he played pretty well.
He did. I thought he played fine. Okay, Titans and Bills. As of doing the show right now, still a question mark for Will Levis. I don't know that matters. The game's in Buffalo. It's an all-hands-on-deck situation for the Bills with Josh Allen, with James Cook, with probably Amari Cooper, and with Dalton Kincaid. So the question is, Titans, George. Which Titans would you dare start this week?
Pollard. I'll start Pollard. I don't even really want to start Hopkins. I really don't. And I don't know if I care if Levis starts or not, by the way. So Hopkins be the one guy. Let's see what else you have there as far as going there. Buffalo, I probably don't want to start Cooper. You know, if I can avoid this. I want to see how assuming he does play, by the way. I probably want to see how he fits in there first, Greg. You know, just before I go with him there. I'm starting Kincaid. I'm starting, listen, you got to make a choice between Cook and Davis. I'll lean towards Cook, but I think that's going to be a problem for us. Shakir, assuming Cooper doesn't play, or over here he's not going to play a full complement of snaps. How about that? I might still consider Shakir. Coleman's a no.
All right, now let's go to a game where we probably have 8 guys playing. Maybe 9. Texans and the Packers. Easy one for Houston, although Nico Collins still out. He's on IR. Deshaun Watson, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon bounced back at a nice game last week. George is going to push us on Dalton Schultz probably again. Sure. Green Bay, we've got Jordan Love. Maybe Dobbs is a possibility. And then, of course, this is a game where you look at the total, and it's one of the higher ones on the board. So I think pretty much all of the starting players play on both sides.
Yeah, you mentioned Schultz be the one guy in Houston you might think about. Do you need a tight end? I think his play will pick up with Collins out, but not great, mind you. Just somebody you can think about. With Green Bay, you sort of already named the problem. You have 17 wide receivers there.
Yeah.
They're not all going to pay off. All right, so you're sort of playing the game here. Reed, Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, and 3 of them are questionable. Dobbs is the only person out of that quartet that's not on the injury report there. So you're sort of playing that guessing game. I can't give you any advantage one way or the other. And I have all of them in certain different leagues here. We're all playing the same game here. But the point total, Vegas thinks it's going to be a high-scoring game. So do I. I think points will be scored in this game. And tight end, Kraft is another guy because, once again, of course, the wide receivers, he may pay off, he may not. You sort of need that touchdown deodorant with him.
All right, Seattle at Atlanta, and certainly we dove into Seattle a little bit. Their starting running back, always a good start there. DK Metcalf, perhaps Geno Smith. I've seen a lot of people starting Geno Smith. They like that matchup this week against the Falcons. Falcons finally, George, it took a few weeks, but they seem to be putting it together. Kirk Cousins is almost a must start at this point. Bijan Robinson, even Tyler Algier, maybe as a flex option. Drake London gets a lot of targets. Beyond that, I don't know any other players to add. Another good offensive potential game this week in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think points be scored in this game as well. I've got a decision in one league. Geno, Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers. One has to sit, and right now it's probably Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to play Lawrence and Geno over him. Let's know what I think about those games here. You're going to start Kenneth Walker, of course. We can talk about the Jigba and Lockett again. Do you want to go both here? You want to guess on one? I'd have them ranked JSN first, Lockett second. If in that order here, I'm not starting Noah Fant here. Atlanta, I think they love Algier. I mean, for whatever reason, if you watched that game last week, they tried their hardest. Their hardest to make sure Algier got over 100 yards rushing. Bijan was at 95. They didn't care. They just they really like Algier for whatever reason. They really like this guy. So yes, I think he is a flex option for you in this game here. Darnell Mooney, let's not forget about him. And hey, Kyle Pitts, he's having a resurgence. What can I tell you?
Yeah, the resurgent Kyle Pitts. All right, Lions and Vikings. I mean, at some point, you would think the Vikings are not going to win a game. I mean, maybe this is the week. I'm not sure, but they've been probably one of the best stories of the entire NFL season, behind Sam Darnold and company, and Jefferson, of course, a must start for Detroit. You're starting Gibbs, you're starting Montgomery, you're starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff is probably a start in most leagues. So does the shoe eventually fall off here, this slipper on Sam Darnold, and he goes back to a pumpkin? I don't know, George. I mean, it's got to happen eventually, right? Is this the week?
Well, Darnold played like crap in that second half against the Jets, right? He was seeing ghosts again. The Jets had his number there. Rodgers just couldn't do anything offensively to take advantage of it. So we'll see if was that just the Jets? Was it the sign of things to come? The last time we saw Darnold play this well was actually with Carolina, and it's funny. It was his first 4 or 5 games where he was good. And then the second half versus Dallas, they figured him out, and that was it. So it's in the back of my mind again. Is it the same thing happening here? You know, did we figure him out here? The Jets figure him out. Now it's all over again? We'll see. Detroit can be thrown on. I am likely still starting Darnold this week. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game here. Detroit, I think, got a lot of aggression against the Cowboys last week, and we'll see if they pick that up. That being said, everybody goes for Detroit. Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs, St. Brown. Jameson Williams, by the way, must start now. I saw the greatest meme this week. Someone figured out they're doing a little Marvel Comics thing with Thanos here. I thought, yeah, we got Jameson Williams. What did it cost you? Sam Laporta. All right, because he's been a donut, right? He's been nothing this year, which has been disappointing here. Still, I'm starting him. And you mentioned Minnesota here. Aaron Jones is questionable. We're going to have to watch him for Sunday, but you're going to still be starting him. Probably no Hawkinson, by the way. People think he's coming back this week. But JJ goes. Addison, touchdown dependent, but I'm likely starting him as well.
Would you start Jameson Williams or Cooper Kupp? That's the dynamic I have this week.
Assuming that we find out that Kupp's going to go, Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp goes, I have to start him.
I feel like that too. Okay, Panthers Commanders. This is going to be a high-scoring game because the Panthers cannot stop anybody. I guess Washington gets right this week. How good is Terry McLaurin? My gosh, like he is. I mean, take away that first week of the season. I mean, is there a better wide receiver right now in the NFL to play other than McLaurin? And they'll get Robinson back this week. Commanders probably going to put a 30, I would guess, on Carolina, and Carolina will be down, and so that'll help them come back. Probably an underrated fantasy game this week.
Yeah, I agree. Because once again, you said it perfectly. Carolina can't stop anybody. Washington scoring, they're going to throw the football. Like Hubbard, like Johnson, we already know that. Washington, listen, I think they're going to run the ball a bunch. I am worried a little bit about Brian Robinson coming in questionable. Maybe he plays and that doesn't play the whole game because it's out of hand again, so they rest him in the second half. So you're going to need those first half numbers to really pick him up, which you got last time he did start. He got 2 touchdowns in the first half there. But Robinson still goes. McDaniels goes. McLaurin goes. Ertz likely goes to a 12-team league, 1 tight end. I'm probably starting Ertz again.
All right, finally, Chiefs 49ers rematch of the Super Bowl. Much lower point total projected in this one. For the Chiefs, it's Kelsey. George is a no on Mahomes, so it's Kelsey, maybe Hunt. I don't know. 49ers, it's Jordan, don't call me Justin, Mason, and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, even Brock Purdy. 49ers side, more tempting.
Yeah, no, probably not starting Purdy either, by the way. Tough Kansas City defense. Assuming I have another quarterback on my roster that I can't here. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game.
All right, we'll take a timeout. Be back with more right after this.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
Lincoln!
But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row. Now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Got to be some of you who are 0-7 or 0-6. Can't be 0-7. Got to be some of you who are 0-6 in fantasy football. And maybe you're 1-5. You're looking to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to play a little DFS the rest of the season. If you are, this segment is for you. It's time to play daily fantasy, buy or sell. I'm actually playing in a league where you not only play your opponent, but you also play the mean score, MEAN. So there is a chance that you have 7 losses, depending on the league that you're playing in. But I know generally speaking, generally speaking, you played 6 games in the fantasy season. In the one that I play the mean score in, 12. So it would be 6 games times 2. So that's 12, I think. So I'm 8-4. In that one. I'm 3-3 in my other key fantasy league. So those are really the 2 that are important to me. Now, as far as daily fantasy, wouldn't it be nice to see Jalen Hurts have this 30-point fantasy day like he used to for like a million weeks in a row, George? It's just not happening anymore with this guy. What happened? Are you buying or selling Jalen Hurts at $7,300 this week in daily fantasy of the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, he was the number 1 DFS quarterback for a while.
He was. And then it started to fall apart last year, right? Now we thought last year, okay, they had all sorts of issues, right? Maybe he got hurt on the brotherly shove there. They were trying to hide that. But it's picked up again this year where he hasn't played all that great. Now he did have a good game last week. It helped when your best players play. He got back Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. They both had touchdowns. They are playing the Giants this week, a team they generally own. That being said, I'm not. Giant defense has played better than we thought. They can get after the quarterback, and this is without Thibodeau, who's on IR, right? They with Burns, that nice trade they made during the offseason, Lawrence, and they can pressure the quarterback here. I don't think the Giants get blown out this week. I don't think this is a 37-30 game. I think he'll have representative points here, but he's the number 3 quarterback as far as price on DraftKings. No, I would much rather. You want to give me $200 more? Give me Josh Allen? I'll take that. You want to give me $300 more and give me John Daniels? I'll take that. Even quarterbacks that are cheaper than him, C.J. Stroud, $200 savings here. I'm willing to go there. Joe Burrow, Cleveland can't do much. That's much going to get saved $500 there. So no, I am selling Jalen Hurts. I think he'll eventually get back to where he was here, but I don't know if it's going to be this week. Sell.
Yeah, I'm a sell also. I don't really understand how it hasn't worked for him with all of the talent that they have there on both sides of the ball. I mean, maybe being forced to throw to those wide receivers down the field opens things up. I mean, he's been locked in on Goddard now for the majority of the season. But I'm with you, George. I think I can find some other cheaper options. Kirk Cousins would probably be one for me that I would take a shot on under 7,300. So no, not for me. I'm a sell on Jalen Hurts, selling that in the red box. All right, running back for the Miami Dolphins, we found out Devon Achane's going to be back this week. Raheem Mostert also is back for the Dolphins. He's been suffering through injuries, George. What's the truth about the Dolphins running back situation? It has been nowhere near what it was through the first half of last year, and Raheem Mostert's numbers are nowhere near what they were in the first half of last year. So this is a very, very cheap price for a guy that could easily score a touchdown or two this week coming off a bye week. Are you buying or selling Mostert? 6,100 this week against the Colts.
I mean, you can't feel great about this. Tua's not back, so you know there's going to be not much of a passing offense here. I mean, I'm looking at to see how bad Indianapolis is against the runs. Is that maybe a reason we can go for this direction here? Because everything in my head's telling me no. And Indianapolis is pretty much middle of the pack. You know, so it's not like they're a team you can run against with impunity here. I mean, the chain's back, Mostert, maybe the rookie gets some play here as well. No, I'm not doing this. This sounds like a desperation because you need to save money someplace, and I'm fine with that. We all need to save money somewhere. But what are you hoping for here? That Mostert does fall into the end zone, right? He's at 6,100. Give me $100 higher for Tracy of the Giants here, who's Singletary's going to be ranked up again. Yeah. You want to save $100, you got Kareem Hunt. All right. I mean, guys who I just have a better chance of doing damage here. I know I mentioned Robertson's back for the Commanders, but Eckler at 5,900. If I'm going to take a guy who's second string, I'll take Eckler against a Washington. I think it's going to score 4 to 5 touchdowns. That's at least that's a better chance than Mostert has of scoring a touchdown here. So no, this is a sell for me as well.
Yeah, I can't do it. Really hard to buy any Dolphin at any price with what's going on right now. I guess there's some chance that Tua could return next week, although that's a little bit uncertain. And after watching Mike McDaniel's press conference, I have no idea what this guy's saying now half the time. Strange press conferences. No offense, Mike, this week. Really weird. I'm a sell too on any Dolphin on offense. I don't care what the price is on Hill or Waddle or A-Chain or even Mostert. Until I see that this offense is capable of scoring 21 points in a game, I am a seller. Okay, here's an interesting one for the Kansas City Chiefs. They did not make any trade, at least as of now. And it appears as though Xavier Worthy's got a real shot, I think, this week. I mean, the 49ers defensive backfield, George, has given up some of the biggest plays in the NFL this season. Can Worthy hit pay dirt? 6,400 this week on DFS.
Oh, that's the key. He's going to need to hit that big play because he's not going to be a volume guy. We know that, right? He's not going to be the volume guy there. I know they seem to pick a guy each week who, gets a 6 to 8 catches. Smith-Schuster was that guy the last time they played, but I don't see Worthy ever being that guy. He's more of a big play threat here. Mahomes is going to take shots to him. And if he hits 1 or 2, well, he'll pay off. But if he doesn't, he won't here. So once again, just going by what I'm looking at as far as the prices here, we talked about Jameson Williams. I can take Jameson Williams for $400 cheaper. All right? I would take him over Worthy pretty easily here. I think sometimes when we're thinking about the San Fran defense, we're thinking of the San Fran defense of years ago. It's not that same defense. Sell.
I'm going to buy Worthy here at 6,400. I am going to predict that big play this week from him. And it's not like the Chiefs have a ton of great options at wide receiver. I'm not big on Juju. Kelsey, he looks like a little bit better, but I do think that the big play does come in from Worthy this week. All right, tight end position. I feel like we've done this a bunch. Dalton Schultz, 4,200 for the Houston Texans. You buying or selling this price?
I don't mind it. Once again, there's one of the cheaper tight ends out there. The only tight end I would start that's cheaper than him would be Zach Ertz, who we say $300 there. I think they'll both post similar numbers here. And once again, Ertz a better chance for a touchdown because I think they're going to score a bunch there.
Yeah, I'm selling. Yeah, I'm selling too. George has tried to convince us to buy, but it's not happening.
Sell.
We'll be back after this. Stay with us here as we wrap up the show next.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else. and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
But if you're playing the odds and you're looking for something that has a more favorable opportunity, it seems like Bo Naylor doing nothing tonight and just watching paint dry is a good investment.
I'm assuming he's in the bottom 3 or 4 of their lineup, which also puts them at risk to be pinch hit, which is great if you have that under. Gets up once or twice, and all of a sudden later in the game, they pinch hit for him, and then you're just free and clear.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today. Before we wrap it up, I'm going to give you a couple of quick stats here. Bo Nix, by the way, on Thursday night, from a fantasy perspective, actually performed pretty well. He's the first rookie quarterback with 75-plus rushing yards in a primetime game. The most popular Bo of all time in sports, George, is Bo Jackson. Who is the second most popular Bo in sports of all time?
Bo. I don't even know if I can name another Bo other than Nix and Bo Jackson. Bo knows. By the way, do we have a stat for everything? Oh, Bo Bichette. Okay. Bo Bichette. Didn't have a good year. Killed a lot of fantasy teams, by the way.
Is that it?
Listen, there's got to be another Bo. There's nobody in hockey I can think of. Bo. What's
That's
Bo
it,
short
right?
for?
Okay. Well, I don't know, but Bo Jackson's name is Vincent, so I mean, yeah, we got Bo Nix. Yes, thank you, Sam.
Bo Nix. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, we saw the tweet. Thanks.
All right, so Bo Nix is. So that's it. So it's Bo Jackson and Bo Nix. Who? I don't even know what that is.
I have no idea.
Bo Derek?
But you got Bo Bridges in movies as well. Bo Bridges is the guy I would go for.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Derek.
All right.
I think we all know Bo Derek from the 80s.
If you have one, let us know. Most popular Bows in sports all time at SportsGrid. At SportsGrid.
Bo Schneider.
All right.
Oh no.
Let's talk about motion offenses. All right. Shenanigans. Offenses in the NFL have featured a man 33.9% of the time in the first 6 weeks of the NFL season, more than double the rate in 2018. But points have only been in a premium in the last 2 weeks, George. Like, points are going up now in the NFL, but it's taken a while regardless of this stat.
I like teams that use motion. I think it does put the defense on their heels a little bit. It also could sort of give away what the defense is doing. Is it a zone defense, man zone, whatever it might be. So I'm on board with motion. Granted, it can confuse sometimes the offense, too. We have 18 guys moving at the same time. They screwed up as well here. But I'm not surprised to see at all that McVay, the Rams, lead this. He always believes in that. Cowboys have been criticized over and over again for being one of the least teams that don't use motion. So is what it is there. Surprised that San Fran's not a little higher on this list.
All right. Bo Belinsky. You know who Bo Belinsky is, Sam? I know who he is. Do you know who he is, George? Baseball player. Yeah, baseball player. All right, time now for us to wrap up the show. I mean, honestly, we need to. I mean, if you've watched the last 2 minutes of the show, you know we need to finish it up. It's time now for the SportsGrid 60.
Now, usually because it's it's football season, this is mainly a football show. I'll complain about something in the NFL, but I'll go back to the MLB. All right, now the playoffs have been fantastic in Major League Baseball. They truly have been a lot of fun. Good or bad for your team, they've been pretty much exciting games here. My complaint's going to be, baseball like to say, well, the playoffs are an extension of the regular season. Well, no, they're really not, because, after the regular season ended, all the division winners had 5 days off, before it started again. And now, once they decide who's going to play in the World Series, we're going to get more days off. All right, earliest would start is maybe Tuesday. That's if things go well. Probably not. Maybe next Friday we'll start. Why is there always such a gap? You lose that momentum. At least I understood after the regular season, you had the wild card round. You got games, but now you're going to take 3-4 days off. I know it's for TV. All right, don't get me wrong. I know why. That's just what TV wants. If TV wanted them to start, an hour after the last game ended, they would start an hour after the last game ended. So I get why, though. It does, but just I hate the wait of why you're taking so much time off. Keep the momentum going here. Let us enjoy what's been a pretty damn good postseason.
Yeah, I would agree. All fair points from you. Here's a fair point from me. I think we have to stop this narrative as to what teams look like in the NFL after the first 2 weeks of the season, because we have completely failed if anybody thought the New Orleans Saints were even a remarkably decent team. Now, I understand they've had a lot of injuries, but folks, are you telling me that if they had Carr and Olave, that they would have won 6 games in a row or anything like that? I mean, this team looks like the worst team in the NFL after what I saw on Thursday night. So just a word to the wise. Next year, team that's 2-0, slow your roll a little bit. Team that's 0-2 like Baltimore, slow your roll a little bit. 2 weeks of the season probably doesn't mean what it used to, maybe because there's 17 games and not 16 anymore. But either way, my gosh, did people overreact to the Saints scoring 80 points the first 2 weeks of the season. That'll do it for the show today. Thanks again to our producer, Sam. For my co-host, George Kurtz, I'm Craig Mish. Enjoy the rest of your weekend right here on SportsGrid. Plenty of college and pro football to watch here. And don't forget to catch Joe and Matt on Fantasy Sports Today Sunday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.